When I first started into anime, the first thing I ever watched was Pokemon. And Pokemon was just, it was overall fun. They had sad moments. The love Pikachu and Ash have for each other is just amazing. It's an amazing bond, and seeing Ash build up to be one of the best Pokemon trainers in his generation was great. And even with Dragon Ball Z, seeing the trial and error Goku goes through over time, his hard training, it was just a fun feel. It made you feel your imagination run wild as a child. It made you happy. It made you motivated to do things, and that's one of the reasons why I always love anime. But as you get older, you get into the dark stage, or the rebellion stage. You want to venture out. You want to see things that you never thought would ever be shown in a medium. Even though I love shonen, I still read all the shonen. Well, most of them. I still read the shonen that comes out and the ones that are popular, and I love them for the most part. So even though violence is not amazing to happen, look at what we're going through now, but it's like when these things happen. Growing up, when you get into that teenager, your older rebellion stage, you want to see the darker sides of the mind, what the mind can imagine in darkness. And that's why I love dark manga. One manga I want to talk about now is, I feel like it's a great manga, great plot, great story, great characters, but I feel like no one really talks about it. When I first started it, when it first debuted out, I seen a lot of big YouTubers, they talked about chapter 1 and how they were willing to see where the story goes, but I don't know if any of them stop it or they just don't talk about it anymore. But I feel like it's have a great, pretty steady run, and it's still ongoing, and I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it. The manga I'm mentioning is Jagaaaaaan. When I first started Jagaaaaaan, I don't want to say I loved it from the jump, but I loved the feel of it, the way it started, and how we see the character Jagaaaaaan. He's the main character. We see how he wants to live a normal life. He wants to do what's right. He wants to abide by the world and his town laws. He lives in Tokyo, Japan, by the way. But he has this darkness and ambition inside of him and let's be honest, when you're at work or you're dealing with day-to-day life, we pretend to be happy at times. We pretend to be nice, but in all, we don't give a fuck about what people talking about. We don't want to be around certain people. That's how Jagaaaaaan is in the inside. He won't do it. Even though he's a cop, he won't do it. But he still thinks about how he gets a thrill out of shooting people. But he can't do it, And as the character goes on, we see how in his life, he's just accepting and settling. And I think that's a great representation of young adult life. Sometimes you have all these ambitions growing up. You want to be an astronaut. You want to be a doctor. You want to be a firefighter. The kids always have the biggest dreams and biggest career choices. But as you get older, you notice that you start not to care. You end up a manager at Family Dollar. You end up fucking maintenance man. You end up a plumber. And it's not to say that those jobs are bad. It's just a lot of times we just settle. It's like, okay, this is making good money, I got good hours, I'm getting a good salary, and you just settle. And nothing's wrong with that, but that's why I love Jagaaaaaan, because it shows how turning into an adult, you just settle. We see in the first chapter how he has a hot girlfriend, he has a good job, he has all these things, and he just feels like, is this it? I'm just gonna have a girlfriend, get her pregnant, have kids, and die of old age. Like, and he has this ambition inside of him that he wants to do more, he wants to venture out, but it's like, hey, this is where this world is, we can't do anything we want. And that's a great representation of a young adult life, just settling and just accepting the way life is, and how we just have to do what we're supposed to do to survive, and do what's the best for the world and the best for our world, may I say. The character Jagaaaaaan, we see how he tries to do right, but there's still this dark side inside of him that he doesn't know how to handle. He's a very confused person. And I love how in the manga, desire is what drives people into becoming the fractured human, which is these frenzy frogs basically infected humans in this world that made them just very monstrous. They have enhanced abilities, and also their desires. A lot of the people who, it's not just bad people, it's good people also. The villain in this manga is basically society and the way the world is, how good people who always trying to do right, always trying to do the right thing, and have compassion and consideration of other people, they get fucked over. And in this world is just a tragedy how a lot of the good characters who would change the world, basically, they get fucked over and driven to the point of madness. And these frogs seek out people like that, people who have high desires, and it corrupts their mind if you're not strong-willed enough. And we see that throughout the whole manga. I love the way a lot of the villains are anti-villains, are foils in the main character. I love how they're portrayed, how doing the right thing isn't always the best thing, and not everyone has a happy ending. And that's why I always, since I started reading manga, I always love that about dark manga, how you will leave it sad and pretty bummed out, but in the overall context of the manga, you're gonna enjoy it because it feels more realistic, how not everything is always happy endings in dark manga. And that's what I love about it so much, that in Berserk, for instance, Guts probably isn't gonna get a happy ending. Casca probably isn't gonna get a happy ending. Griffith probably won't get a happy ending, and I hope not. Fuck the shit he done. But characters like that and shows like that, they're not necessarily happy endings. The amount of pain and terror and fear the characters have to go through, and doubt and depression, because they're not living up to their best person. And we see that a lot in Jagaaaaaan, in the main character, especially Jagaaaaaan. The action in Jagaaaaaan is just something that you would love and appreciate when reading, because even though it's a great story and has great plot and it gets pretty deep, it also has some great action. Just seeing the panels of Jagaaaaaan shooting and forming his transformations, and also I want to get into the transformations that a lot of the characters go through. It's just amazing. I really appreciate the transformations in this manga. They're very detailed. Some are very demonic and monstrous looking. It's just something I really enjoy just watching. And also I want to get into the choreography and fighting panels, how the characters move very swift. The fights are intense and very gory, very bloody. The fights can get brutal at times, and a lot of times you'll be
you'll be on the edge of your seat because you don't know how certain characters are gonna make it out. And also, I would love to point out how the action and the way fights turn out can be jaw-dropping. I mean, it's literally, you would think characters had it and they'll just blow a fucking 20 they would blow the fucking league, like real shit. It's crazy how, I mean, I've seen certain panels and certain scenes in this manga where you would literally be shocked at the plot twist that the author comes up with, and I feel like I should give him props for that.
One thing I want to get into is the art. The art in Jagaaaaaan is fantastic. I love the darkness of the panels, the cuts, the blood, the guts. The violence is shown very detailed. The drawings are very, very detailed. It kind of gives me that Gantz feel. If you ever read Gantz, it has that dark feeling of Gantz in the panels, and I love it because, you know, in dark manga, they don't have that boundary where they can't show as much blood or as much cuts or as much organs. They can show more things than just a fucking amputee, because you know that's all mangas do. You know when shit getting serious when somebody's arm gets cut off. But in dark manga and sinning, I love the way the portrayal of the gore and the action is shown. And also, if you notice, a lot of more sinning and dark manga, a lot of them have the best art. You can't tell me a manga that has that's as good as art as Berserk or Sun Can Rock or even Kingdom. The panels are just the sheer strength and might in Kingdom characters is great, and we see it's very detailed. And another thing I want to get into, which is pretty dark, that I don't know if a lot of people want to see or witness certain areas in the manga where they have rape, and it gets pretty gruesome at times. Jagaaaaaan, it has a lot of rape, but I will say that the rape is kind of like more of a lot of dark mangas have it, which I don't think is a bad thing, because you know that's the point of dark manga. Things happen in this world that, you know, we don't like to talk about, taboo topics, but it happens. And you know, when a character is evil, when a character is dark, we know what evil people do in this world. We know what dark people, twisted people do in this world. So I feel like it's realistic when characters portray things like that. And you know, that's basically it. I'm gonna end the video here. I just wanted to give my little quick thoughts on Jagaaaaaan and why I think it's a great manga, and I can't wait to see how the ending turns out. It's not on its climax or almost ending yet, but you can tell that the author is aiming towards, it can go anywhere, but with just Jagaaaaaan and how he is basically, it's a lot of what I don't want to get into, but I just want y'all to tune in. And if y'all like videos like this, me talking about Jagaaaaaan, I'll drop some more. The link in the description to my Instagram. Y'all check me out if y'all are not followed to me. This is Will of D here, and I'm out.